Hello and welcome to the first session of a new Achtung Cthulhu game. My name is Andy and I'm the keeper. We're playing the Achtung Cthulhu rules, but in this game I'm trying to make it a little less pulp as Achtung Cthulhu normally is, and a bit more gritty and nasty, a bit more like the World War Cthulhu game. But hopefully we'll see how it goes, and hopefully everyone will enjoy it. And I shall start by uh, getting my players to introduce themselves and their characters. So let's start with Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris, and I am playing Archibald Fanshawe, known as Archie. He is a newly minted junior officer, a lieutenant in the Northumberland Fusiliers, and he has just been assigned to Section M.
Yeah, and he clearly is comes from a very well-to-do family because his name is pronounced Fanshawe and is spelt in a totally and utterly different way. Would you say that's a fair summary, Chris?
No,
Oh, right. Okay.
not at all. It's a perfectly
No.
normal way to spell it.
Okay. Right. Okay. Next, let's go B.
Hi, I'm B. I play Eleanor Wyndham, or Nellie. She is second lieutenant in forgotten the name of the unit that I'm part of,
Now
the
section
cover
M.
one,
Oh,
now Section M. Yeah.
just the auxiliary.
Yeah, territorial.
Oh, I can't remember.
I've forgotten the name of it, but I was trying to find it in the handouts. She is a award-winning journalist who has a call to mystery when it takes her fancy.
Okay. Let's go to Bruce.
Hi, I am Bruce. I'm playing Sergeant Samuel Calloway, a frontline medic as part of the 2nd Battalion Sherwood Foresters, young, impressionable, and ready to do for king and country.
Okay, let's go Nick.
Hi, I'm Nick. I'm playing Casamir Koslow, formerly of the Polish 26th Infantry Division, 82nd Independent Recon Tank Company. I'm the group mechanic, essentially.
And lastly, Tom.
Hi, I'm Tom. I'm playing Nikola Vujic, a Roma of no fixed abode in Eastern Europe, Southern Europe, who's recently escaped from Europe and come to join the British forces.
Okay. Right. Thank you for that, guys. Okay, so it is currently the 22nd of May, 1940. And you've all been listening to the news. It's sounding like the British and French forces, as well as a few other allied units, certainly some Polish and some other bits and pieces in there, Belgians, Dutch, and so on, are gradually losing in against the running German blitzkrieg in northern France, and the Allied troops seem to be pushed back, gradually being pushed back to a pocket around Dunkirk and Calais. Your characters, however, are hearing this on the wireless because you have all, for varying lengths of time now, been members of Section M. Section M is a organisation that has been put together by Sir Alec, and I've forgotten his surname.
Howard.
Sir Alec Howard, and he has set this up in conjunction with, and some of you have gathered this already. There's a private members club in London called the Bentham Club, and the Bentham Club has, for quite a number of years, been almost like an unofficial branch of the British government, sponsoring expeditions to combat the unnatural creations and investigate unnatural events. And with the start of World War II and the apparent rise of interest in the occult amongst the Nazis, particularly, but also within other fascist powers. So Alec was able to persuade the British military to permit him to create Section M. And as I said, you've all been there for a little while. You've met a number of people in Section M. Actually, let's move over and show a few photos. So just to take you through a couple of these people. First of all, there's show that one right. Show players there. So right, there's firstly this Alec Howard himself, who's Viscount Hadley, and he's a brigadier and Section M commanding officer. He is notably young as a brigadier. He's clearly a man of immense political influence, and seeing as he appears to be paying for most of this himself, most of Section M's equipment himself, he's also clearly a man of great finance. You have also spent quite a lot of time with Company Sergeant Major, Jock Campbell, who's actually a member of the Green Howards, is the uniform he wears, who is essentially the training officer in charge of Section M, and he's been giving you quite a lot of training over the recent months that you've been with Section M, primarily focusing on your combat skills. Okay, and then the other person you've got to know quite extensively is Company Quartermaster Sergeant Eric Crawford, who's originally from the Coldstream Guards, and he clearly from his age should have has come out of retirement. He was very clearly well and truly retired. I think he's in his 60s or early 60s, and he's volunteered to return to active service, and he is the essentially the quartermaster of Section M, and so anytime you need gear, he's the person that sorts it out for you. Okay, now on the 22nd of May, you have already spent time working together, getting to know each other, and you've been formed into a team. There are other Section M teams here. You know that some of the original teams that were first formed have been assigned to other parts of the world. There were some operating in France. You're not sure what's happened to them. And there's some who've gone, particularly I think this time, down to North Africa and other places, and to Egypt and so on. But you are currently at your main base, which is at Hadley Manor, which I think, if I'm right, I said is in Sussex. Certainly an easy drive to London. And you've been summoned to a meeting with Sir Alec. Now, as I say, just to stress again, you've already been formed and been operating as a team, and you've been assigned military ranks. Some of those are ranks you gained in previous units before joining here. Others are ranks you've been given when you joined Section M. Section M, however, very much has an ethos of speaking up. So though someone might be in charge technically according to the military ranks, they expect everyone to do their part and speak up, and it's not quite a fully democratic debate. There is a command structure for a reason, but it's very much a meritocracy, and people speak up and give your opinions on things. Okay. But so you've been formed into a team, and your team is summoned to meet with Sir Alec, and you're shown by his secretary into the dining room of Hadley Manor, which has been started to be used quite regularly as a briefing room. And in there is someone with he is not alone. I'm now trying to show you picture. Let me just. Did a picture just pop up?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
Of a
Um,
Stepford housewife.
right. So now, Nellie, you recognise this lady because if you scroll
She's a
down on
Stepford
the
housewife.
bottom, you know that she's
Yeah.
an Egyptologist and a member of the Bentham Club.
I have no other information other than the picture.
If you can you scroll down, do you not get a little note at the bottom?
I do not.
Oh balls! I thought that was public knowledge. It's clearly just for me. Right, I'll sort that one out. Okay.
Sorry.
Still learning how to use Foundry. Okay. She's a member of the Bentham Club, who you recognise. Okay. And so Alec asks you to take seats, and he does introductions, and he introduces her as Janie, Dr. Janie Michaels. And she, looking at her, those who are more observant, she's probably in her early 40s. She's very fashionably dressed, clearly a very wealthy lady, judging by the cut of her clothes. But she looks completely, I mean, she's dressed as she is in the picture, so completely out of place for a military base. Yeah. And she gets up, and so Alec introduces you each by turn. He's very good at the people side. He introduces everyone by their first names, though it's clear that he understands the ranks as well, and whether Janie does or not, we'll see. So Alex says, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. I have a mission for you. I know this will be your first mission. Hopefully it won't be anything too complicated. But I want you to travel across to France and retrieve he's a member of the Bentham Club, so he's an old friend of mine. But he's a very good friend of Janie's here. He's spent a number of times been on had various escapades with Janie and various others of their friends. As I think I've explained to you all before, I mean, we're all fairly accepting now that magic does exist. There are strange, unnatural things that go bump in the night. There are the Nazis seem horrible, terrible people, but there are probably factions within them who are dabbling with even worse things than most Germans are aware of. And we're, as you know, Section A has been formed to combat that. Now, what I would like you to do is help bring back this member of the Bentham Club from France, where he lives. He is French, and he there's no other way to put it, I suppose. He is a sorcerer of note. He has studied and studied various tomes that you need a very strong mind to read, and he has learnt various magical arts, and he has a library of books that Janie and I are persuading him to let others start to study, because we believe that the Nazis or at least members of the Nazis, are actively using magic as weaponry. So what I'd like you to go and rescue, I suppose is the right word, because the way the war is going, it looks like where he lives is going to be overrun fairly soon. I'd like you to rescue him and as much of his library as possible. He will know what to bring, and bring him and his library back to England and back here. Okay. Now, his name is Bernard Cordesoir.
Okay.
Chris is recognising that name. Did a picture just turn up?
It's there.
Yep.
Now, Janie produces from her. So he's a probably in his early mid 50s. Janie produces a picture. The picture she actually produces is a slightly younger version. Okay, and she shows you the picture. And she says, and she speaks up. So when you meet Bernard, sorry, please, almost to prove your authenticity, ask him who did he encounter at the Bent Pyramid, and he should answer the Black Pharaoh. But hopefully there will be no problems in proving that you are agents of the Bentham Club. Okay. Then Sir Alex speaks up. Okay, so for this, I've arranged a plane to take you to Lille Airport, and I shall provide you maps of how to get to where Bernard's house is. He lives in a village called Campin-en-Pével, but I'll pass you some maps shortly which mark that out. The area is getting increasingly chaotic, so you'll need to be very careful as to what the state of things are. There is to some degree some panic starting to break out, I have gathered, amongst some of the Allied troops, and some of them are collapsing faster than they should be and retreating towards the coast in an attempt to be taken off or taken off the mainland. Now, off mainland Europe. Now, as I say, this has led to a very chaotic situation. Okay. To cover, to explain who you are to anyone in the military in Canada, please wear. I wish you to please wear British Army issue uniforms, and you take your ones that have the insignia for the Special Reconnaissance Group on it, the SRG, so that you can. That will hopefully answer any questions people have as to who you are and what you're doing there. Okay. So the plane will leave for Aéroport de Lille, as it's properly pronounced, um, first thing tomorrow morning. So up at 6, a car will leave. A pair of cars will leave at 7 to take you to the airport. Please have all your kit ready to go. Have you any questions?
He's going to give us information like the address and things like that. And tell us exactly where to look.
He gives you the map. And Bernard, actually, Janie says Bernard lives in a. It's not quite a country house, but a largest house in the countryside. So it's deliberately quite isolated. So it should not be of any strategic value. So if there are any German troops in the area, they would probably be heading for more population centres, I would imagine.
We're going to need built-in requisition some sort of transport when we get to Lille.
Yes, you are.
I don't think it'll be very efficient when we if we have to walk the whole way.
Yeah.
Does
So
somebody
Alex says,
speak French?
I speak
Um,
French.
Good. That is not one of
Yes.
the languages that I speak.
so sorry, who speaks French?
I do.
I also speak
So
French.
two French speakers. Okay. But so Alex says, sorry, yes, you've reminded me of something.
My accent
Archie.
is terrible, but I speak it.
You know, so yes. So there Aéroport de Lille is very much still in British and French hands. It is being used as a hub for evacuating non-combatants and senior military personnel, people who are senior enough to warrant an aircraft. So most of the planes flying over there are flying over empty to collect people. So your flight will be picking up other people. But that means that as a result, there should be, and the reports are, there is a lot of vehicles, British military vehicles, at Aéroport de Lille. So please requisition what you need.
Seems straightforward enough.
Do we have a instruction or provisions to make our way back, flight back, etc.?
Yes. So please return to the airport and get a flight back from there. You may, depending on how the military situation changes, you may have to make other arrangements. So stay in contact. If you need other aid in other ways of exiting mainland Europe, then please get hold of a British radio and get a message sent to your commanding officer as members of the Special Reconnaissance Group, and that will get to me, and I will then do whatever I can. My hope is that you will be able to take Bernard and his library and get a plane back, but be prepared in case that is not possible.
Well, I will converse with the team and come to you in an hour or so with a list of any additional equipment we wish to requisition.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyone else got any questions? Or shall we discuss anything, that sort of thing?
I have no
No,
questions.
we have the name, we have the location, we have the code word. We know it's going to be potentially crazy.
Seems
Oh,
straightforward enough.
actually, quick question. Wolfpack.
Mhm.
Are there any reports of the Wolfpack unit in the area?
Not that I am aware of, says Sir Alec. Um, I've not heard. There have not been very many reports of this unit patch that you have seen. It's probably a good idea just to explain to the others now, to be certain that they understand what it is we're talking about, because I'm not sure I have explained to them. So would be a good idea now to explain what that is. But in answer to your question, we have not seen further members of this unit.
Okay. The members of the German army who are wearing the wolf insignia are their version of us, of Section M. It is, but they are homicidal, murderous sons of bitches, and have no qualms of killing women and children, including a 7-year-old boy, to get what they want. So just so you all know, keep an eye out, because they are the ones that are the Nazi version of us.
Worth keeping an eye out for. Thank you for informing.
This is a very good point, thinking about it, says Sir Alec. Should you encounter people wearing this patch, we don't know very much about them. As Nikola has explained, there appear to be some sort of unit within the German military hierarchy who they definitely appear to be the enemy we need to focus on. But at the present moment, we don't know very much about them. We don't even know what they're called. This wolf patch, wolf's paw unit patch is what Nikola and there are actually a couple other reports have seen. And so we want to know more. So should you encounter them, if you can, please take prisoners, because we could do with interrogating.
Yes, we'll gather what
Understood.
intelligence we can.
Okay. Right. Anything else for Sir Alec and Janie, or do you want to leave it there and then?
On a above table thing, I don't know if there's any way to get any like an insight type thing to see what Dr. Michael's relationship is to Bernard, and what like is it just sort of she's concerned about a friend, or is this like a family member, etc.?
So, I think that would be an observation check, and I think it
Okay.
would be the instincts focus.
And what skill is it going off of?
I think it would
Insight,
be
I'm assuming.
insight.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Which
insight,
and sight
observation, and then it's the instincts specialization, the focus, which you don't
instincts.
have.
Gotcha. Yeah, insight.
So 2 successes. Right, that will get you a point of momentum, because 1 success was all you needed. Sorry.
Yay!
Right. So purely friendship. Clearly, a long-term friendship, probably old comrades in some form of escapade.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Hmm.
Anything else? Anyone?
Mate,
We can take Kezia, yes?
Yes, you may take your dog.
Danke.
of course. Key member of the team. Wouldn't be without Kezia.
Absolutely. It's the
Potentially,
mascot.
potentially the most dangerous member of all of you.
Precisely.
Yeah. little known fact that the dog carries the team in combat.
Honestly,
I don't know.
That happens.
We'll
Yeah.
have to see a couple of people when they start
Mhm,
rocking and
yeah.
rolling. Right. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Right. So I think you leave Sir Alex's dining room and go and get together in one of the other rooms in the manor, and have you've got the opportunity to have a chat about it. Is there anything?
Go on, sorry.
I was going to say, is there anything equipment-wise you want to discuss?
Could we be requesting our own radio rather than trying to find one when we get there if we need it?
The radios are generally vehicular-based. Is the problem?
Good point. Okay.
Um,
Yeah,
Look,
of course they are.
if necessary, I can just rip radio out.
Okay.
so trying to get a vehicle that's got a radio might be an option.
Okay, so I'm feeling daft actually. I should have done that.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not actually a daft question. You know that Section M are working on something they call man-portable radios, but you're not expected to be splitting up at the present moment, so you've not been offered anything like that.
No, I don't think we'll need anything like that. Do we have any particular items of equipment we're going to need for this beyond what we're carrying already?
Well, you've got some provisional equipment loads on there. Have a quick glance at it and see if there's anything else you want to take. A couple of people have got spare slots. There's always an option to take extra ammo for a weapon, which will give you 3 more reloads for 3 more uses of the salvo options on your firearms. If you want to, if you've got space, let me know though if you want to take anything.
Anyone? Want to put in a request?
I've got everything I need.
I do not have any room.
I can find things we need when we get in country.
Okay. All good?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
I'm sure this will be terribly straightforward.
okay.
This whole area is under British control. I'm sure it won't have collapsed that badly by the time we get there. Ha ha.
So
We'll be in and out in 2 days. 3
Oh,
days at the most.
You've jinxed us now.
We'll be home by Christmas.
You're making it worse.
So, the following morning, you're up and out of the manor at the appointed time. You taken to an airport about half an hour's drive away from the house, your base, and it's clearly a hub this end for transport aircraft that are flying over and flying over empty, presumably to collect people and important supplies. There is a rather haggard RAF officer expecting you. And just to be clear, so so in terms of in terms of weapons, I mean more the long arms. So Archie's carrying a submachine gun, a Thompson submachine gun.
Yep, Thompson submachine gun.
Sam, Nellie, and Casamir are all carrying Lee Enfield rifles, and then Nikola is carrying a hunting rifle with a telescopic sight on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So the RF officer He clearly is intriguing to him that people are going over rather than just escaping back. Clearly he's expecting people to return, not to go out to France. And he is also quite surprised by, I mean, not particularly interested in either the dog or Nikola with a non-standard issue rifle. The thing that fascinates him most of all is Nellie, who is presumably in trousers, not a skirt, and boots with puttees and so on wrapped around her ankles, and is carrying a rifle and carrying
right.
and a tin hat. And he's rather intrigued by this, but and looks slightly snooty and sniffy, like this is not something women should be doing. But he refrains from saying anything.
What's
Is there
what
a
what are they?
problem, soldier?
Yeah,
Sorry.
you're an officer as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
He actually I forgot what it is, but he's the equivalent of a captain, so he actually outranks you both. But he declines
Oh,
he declines to say anything, and
I'll try and distract him by engaging with conversation about what conditions are over there, what's happening, and so forth.
he's very polite. You win him over, but
Right.
he doesn't actually no. Actually, thinking about it, make me a reason charm. Sorry, reason persuasion roll with and it's the charm focus.
Ooh, complication. That's good news.
So that gives me a point.
Off to a great start.
That gives me a point of momentum if I'm right with the system.
You
Sorry,
can
point
use it
of-
how you like. You get to add yourself point of threat at this stage.
I'm not going to penalise you for that. I'm just going to take myself an extra point of threat.
Sure. As a point of order, by the way, you should have knocked our momentum down at the end of the scene.
Oh yes, because you changed scenes. Yes.
Yep.
So that's a point.
Oh.
Just to sorry, because we're all new to the system. So at the end of each scene, the momentum goes down by 1. Yeah.
That's a use it or lose it resource.
Continues
Yeah.
to
Okay.
gain or lose.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. Right. So he's friendly, clearly busy, harassed, doesn't wish to have much of a conversation. And when you ask him what it's like over there, he's sort of non-committal, doesn't really say anything. Okay.
When everybody gets on, can I be the last person on? And I just walk by the pilots and go, "You see nothing. You say nothing."
Right. Are you trying to intimidate the pilot?
Yep.
Good.
It's meant to be some sort of a special reconnaissance group mission.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me right. I would say that is a will persuasion check with the intimidation focus.
Okay. Fingers crossed.
1 success. So no bonus momentum.
No.
He looks a bit nervous and says, "Yes, sir. Oh, yes,
I'm
private."
rank a private. I'm a private, so
I'll
Okay.
just lean across and say this is all a little bit, so best to forget we were on board once we're there.
Okay.
As
Certainly.
we're boarding the aircraft, I would like to kind of do just like a quick glance around to see if there's any noticeable mechanical issues with the aircraft that maybe haven't been picked up by the ground crew.
Okay. For that, you can give me a insight mechanical insight engineering. It's the mechanical engineering specialization focus.
Okie doke.
Looks very well, very well tended to you.
Okay. That comforts me.
Okay. Right. Then the flight takes off.
Sam looks terribly excited and slightly nervous. This is
Yeah.
probably the first time that he's been in an aeroplane.
That is a very good
Likewise.
point. How much have any of your characters ever been in a plane before?
Yes, that's how I
Oh.
got here.
Nope.
I don't know. Probably not.
Okay.
I just tilt my helmet down, lean back, and start taking a nap.
I mean, Sam won't be sick, but he might look like he's going to be sick.
It's just to be very clear, this is a cargo plane, yeah, with some benches put in and bolted, and you're sort of you're sitting. There's benches either side, and you're sitting opposite each other. Well, you can, or you can sit in one line, up to you. And there's sort of straps fixed to the fuselage to then hold yourself in place. So it's fairly basic wooden bench, no comfort, no frills, air transport.
Kind of like a flying church, then, right?
Yeah, except
No,
that,
the benches are facing each other.
Yeah, benches face each other.
They line the walls, basically.
Yeah.
I like pews.
So
I'm also feeling nervous, but I'm trying to conceal the fact.
certainly. Okay. You fly. You're on the plane for what feels like hours, and it's very loud.
And Andy, this is a good point. So I want to mention, can we sort of do a little bit more of a detailed introduction to our characters than we did at the very start?
Yeah.
Sure.
I didn't realise that Bruce's character would be like more nervous than me and so forth. Is that right by everybody?
No, certainly it's right.
So if I just start my
yeah.
characters, Archie Fanshawe, he's a very new, very fresh-faced lieutenant in his early 20s. He's just finished his officer training, and he's somewhat bemused to have been moving into section N. You know, he's got a brother who's out in Mesopotamia with Northumberland Fusiliers, and he expected with Northumberland Fusiliers as well. Hasn't taught too much, but he's very upper class. Played cricket at Harrow. Joined the dining club in Oxford University, and his most remarkable feature seems to be that positive features. He's very good at getting into trouble and very good with languages. But he's very fresh faced with a good effort at growing a moustache.
Who would like to go next?
I'll go next. Casamir Koslow. He's mid 20s, sergeant from an armored unit in the Polish military. He was part of a major engagement, a couple major engagements in Poland. After the fall of Poland, he was part of the force that retreated through Romania and then took a ship to get to France. He speaks a fair few languages, and he's good with accents. This is how I'm going to sidestep doing Polish accent because I'm still trying to get the handle on it. So he speaks English with a Londoner accent, speaks German with a Bavarian accent, and speaks French with a horrible accent. He's the standard mechanic. He's mechanic / wheelman basically.
Who'd like to go next?
I go next. Sam joined the army when he was 16, born and bred Derbyshire farmer. Not seen action yet. His unit, originally the 2nd Battalion, Sherwood Foresters, went off to France in 1939, and he was terribly disappointed not to be dispatched with them. He's been in the army now for 5 years, trained as a combat medic, but actually hasn't seen any combat, any action whatsoever. Yeah, that's about it, I suspect, from his point of view. Terribly young.
Nellie is mid-20s as well. Part of the Bentham Club as well. I believe Archie is also Bentham Club.
Archie's
Is
not.
that right?
I'm not.
You're the only member. You're the only member in the,
okay.
the team who's from the Bentham Club.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. She's part of the ATS, which is the Auxiliary Territorial Service,
That's
which
it. We
is
couldn't
the
remember to
women's.
start with.
Yeah. I found the thread, which is the women's branch of the British Army at this point, anyway. And she's a journalist, sort of through and through. She's an investigative journalist. So you often see her writing in a journal, but it's all like shorthand. So you can't really read anything. It's not making a lot of sense to people. Sometimes seen with a camera, but mostly it's she just likes getting to the bottom of things. And when she's not like doing that, she'll be finding something else to research. Basically, is that's all of her free time and professional time is doing that.
Lastly, Tom.
So Nikola Vujic is the oldest member of this group, also the least in rank. He's a Roma from the Eastern European, speaks various languages, including Roma, and he seems to have a knack for getting things that aren't readily available to the general populace. And that's it, yeah.
And he's got a dog.
Oh, yeah, I've got a dog. The dog is called Kezia, and it is a German short-haired pointer.
Thank you. I was wondering.
Okay.
Thank you. I got my sorry.
No. That's a, I should
no,
have. So I should.
I thought
All
you,
of this
yeah.
is clear in my head, but I had forgotten that we hadn't done proper introductions between you guys as characters. So that's good. Now it's done. Okay. Right. So the plane takes a couple of hours to get to Lille, and then fairly glancing out the window, it's almost impossible to talk when you're on the back in the back of the plane because the level of noise you're literally shouting in each other's ears to be heard. But the thrum of the engines is vast. But glancing out of the few windows there are, you can see that there are a number of planes, other planes in formation. There's a quite extensive fighter escort, and it's very alarming at one point because the pilot takes some evasive action at some point, and you're not entirely sure what's going on, but there's definitely some sort of something going on that's causing the pilots take some evasive action. There is glancing out the windows, you can see that the fighter escort seems to be engaging with some German planes at some point, and it all starts to get a bit hairy. But actually, I'm not going to shoot you all in midair and blow you up. So and kill the game there. Though it's slightly alarming at points, you land safely at quite a large, clearly military-controlled airport. There's quite extensive defensive positions around it. Coming into land, you spot a number of through the few windows there are. You spot a number of sort of fixed artillery pieces, anti-aircraft guns, and sandbagged positions for infantry and so on. And the fact that there's artillery here as well means that, I mean, that would not be for close support. So it's clearly being used as a focal point to draw troops to us and so on. And the plane lands, and you also see I mean, most of the people wishing to leave are British, so there's a very nicely orderly formed queue. of people waiting to get on board, and most of it's clearly literally almost taxi ferry services done, because the fighter escort will only last for a certain amount of time. So it's a very rapid. Planes are landing, parking up next to somewhere to take on passengers. They're not turning off the engines or anything like that. And so your plane is just slightly different, because the 5 of you plus Kezia get out before anyone starts to go on. And once again, your appearance, your arrival attracts attention. Who are these people who are arriving now? And also the fact that there's a woman carrying a rifle attracts some attention as well. But they're all too
Light,
too
being
concerned
British.
about. Sorry, a second.
Polite being British.
But also, yeah, very true. But also too concerned about getting on the plane and getting away themselves, to make any comments. And as I say, they're being hurried along by some RAF personnel who are organising the dispatch of people. And clearly, everyone's assigned to planes and so on. You notice that essentially it's a lot of non-combat personnel. So there's quite a number of army nurses are being evacuated, as well as a lot of people with a lot of quite senior ranks and red flashes on it. So there's a lot of staff officers clearly are. It's getting to a point where there's little they can do here, so they appear to be relocating headquarters back to the main, back to Britain. And your the RAF NCO who sort of is in charge of your plane is quite surprised to see you there, and looks around, spots Lieutenant Fanshawe, and smartly salutes and says, "Sir, I wasn't expecting any arrivals."
Yes, well, don't worry. What rank's this chap? Sorry.
He's an NCO, the equivalent of a corporal. I've forgotten what it is in the RAF, but
Don't worry about us. Just trying to take care of a couple of bits of business here. What's the situation?
We're just been instructed to ensure that as many people get on these planes as possible, sir.
Okay, fair enough. Yes, we special reconnaissance group, a little bit of reconnaissance do find out what's going on, that sort of thing. We're sent to see what the picture is on the ground. So we'll just get on with our business.
Very good, sir.
Ready, soldier?
Do you need anything from me?
Yes, transportation.
If
Nicola?
if you look over there,
I call across to Nicola. Talk to the corporal, sort out some transportation with you. So I don't know if I got the right one of you two there, actually, Nicola or Casamir.
Yeah.
Casamir's the sort of driver mechanic guy, but Nicola's the guy who gets stuff. So actually, it's probably the pair of them together.
Oh,
Of course, delegate.
Yes.
yeah.
So this RAF NCO just tells us all the vehicles that are being spare are being parked over there, and points off to one
we can
side.
take any of them?
So again,
we can take any of them.
Uh,
You're so kind. Thank you so much.
Talk to the sergeant in charge.
Excellent.
Of course, we will say. What was your name again?
Jones.
Thank you very much. We'll tell him that you say hello.
He's looking at you with your strange accent, because you're he's trying
The
to figure out
accent
your
is all over the place.
yeah, and he's trying to figure
a Roma.
he's trying to figure it out, and he's not.
And he's trying to figure out. I'll just lean across him and say, "I think those people over there, those nurses, need help onto a plane." Go on.
Yes, sir. And he rushes off to go and help.
Right.
And
We'll
you're
go
quite
over.
right. They did need some help. They were trying to take far too much luggage with them. That's one thing you notice. is that a lot of particularly some of the staff officers, because the nurses actually travel comparatively light, but some of the staff officers have got far too much stuff, and there is this weird rigmarole of very senior officers being told by much more junior people there's not enough space on the plane for their 4 suitcases of gear, and it would be better to take a person, and so on. And
we don't have the weight allowance for your 6 cases of cognac, sir.
yeah, and you're following directions, so probably led by Nikola and Casamir. You head over to essentially a vehicle park where there are a number of British Army soldiers protecting this, and they're Royal Corps of Transport, and they're sorting out the vehicles, and they appear to be going through and working out what to try and do with each of them, and they're sort of draining of fuel going on from some that they're putting to one side, and so on. There's also some infantry positions around to protect the
Motor pool.
I don't think the British use the phrase motor pool, but yes, the motor pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yep. And
Straight to the sergeant, who seems to be having the clipboard and telling people what to do.
yes, Private.
Sergeant, it is good to see you. Jones over there, the NCO, he said that we are welcome to take the vehicles that we need for the special reconnaissance. So, my boss over here, he wants something that would be suitable for what we need. I would just say thank you very much for your hard work in making sure that whatever vehicle we choose is fully fueled with some spare petroleum.
Right.
While he's doing that, I'm gonna just start inspecting the vehicles and looking for the one that seems the most mechanically sound.
Right. So, can you please give me? Sorry. So, Nicola, if you could give me a persuasion roll using. I don't know what stat to persuade someone with it's the charm of focus. What stat do you think that is? Insight, reason,
Insight?
or will? Insight. Yeah, go on. Insight. Yeah.
Insight.
So an insight persuasion roll with the charm focus. Okay. And Casamir, if you could please give me a I suppose it would be an insight engineering with the mechanical engineering focus.
Okie doke.
Okay.
Why does these two make me think of like a Del Boy and Rodney sketch? Just
It is rapidly
rocking
turning
up.
into that.
Right?
Right. Okay. So, Tom. So Nicola talks to this sergeant, and he he has a slight suspicious air about him, but about your request. But it says, yeah, certainly, I do need your CO to sign for this, though. For whatever you take.
Of course.
In fact, here's the clipboard. Look up the plate of it, whatever vehicle you look on that, and sign for it, please. Okay.
In the background, Koslow just like opens up the hood of one of them, takes a look around, kind of shakes his head, closes it, moves to the next one, kicks one of the tires.
It falls off.
Looks kind of underneath the vehicle.
What are you looking for?
I will take the clipboard from him and the pen, and then wait until Casimir has chosen the correct vehicle or vehicle. There's
Okay,
5.
I'm just
going to be coming back with 2, so we either need a small truck or we need 2 cars.
Yeah, I'm looking for like probably like a 2.5 ton truck
Okay.
that seems the most mechanically sound out
Okay.
of the bunch.
Okay. And you rolled one success and a complication. Right. So you find an appropriate vehicle. I'm going to
And it's a commanding officer's staff car.
no. You find there are a number of trucks. What
Yeah.
they seem to be doing is to be honest they appear to be applying some fairly sound logic in that what they're trying to do is keep the more military important vehicles like trucks,
Mhm.
and they're draining fuel out of staff cars and things like
Yeah.
that. Um,
Yep.
but so you requisition one of the trucks, that's no problem. Um, uh, However, you did roll a complication, so I'm just going to make a note of that.
Okie doke.
Um, uh, but you get yourself a truck. Okay.
Okay.
Looking up, Archie, you're able to sign for it, no problem. It's on there. It's Casamir. It's already been filled up with petrol.
Lieutenant, this one's good to go.
Excellent. Take a note of its number. Excuse me, sorry, and excuse me, sorry. Sign for it.
Okay.
Will of course not sign with my own name.
Okay. So well, you're not signing with your own name. Okay, that's fine.
No.
Some
Lieutenant John Smith.
and some
I'll take a random
unintelligible
name.
signature.
Random name from somebody who I knew officer training.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. And the sergeant just he when he takes the clip back, Nikola, you can see that he just glances to see that there is a signature and a name against it. He doesn't appear to actually to make any efforts to check that it is
Some
genuine.
random lieutenant
Mhm.
in Tobruk is gonna get asked about a truck that he apparently signed for.
In France, right? Then
While they're sorry.
go on.
While they're doing that, can Nellie be doing something?
Yep, absolutely certainly yes, and Sam as well.
Yeah. Well, I think Nellie approaches Sam and says, "I've got an idea to go talk to some of those nurses before they board that plane. Seeing as they're all loitering a little bit, they're going to know about local events and such, and seeing as we want to find out the state of affairs there are in the area that we're going to, perhaps we can try and get a little bit of gossip. Do you reckon you could use your medical in to have a conversation with them?"
Um,
Okay.
right, sorry, apologies. I've just got to go.
Just follow me.
I've got to go AFK a sec. I'll be back in 1 sec. Apologies.
Mhm.
And we solve the plot. Yay, we got
We won.
we won.
Declare victory,
Yes, yes,
retire
thing.
champion.
That's
Finally
it.
broke the GM.
Yeah, that's it. That's how you do it. That's how we do it.
Uh,
If you break the GM, you win the game, right? That's how it went. That's how it works.
No, if you break the GM, you have to buy him. No, I mean fix him.
Oh, or become the next GM,
You break it,
and
you
that's
pay
even
for it.
worse. Yeah. The curse continues.
I
A
was in a
new
group
hand
that broke
touches
our
the
GM
beacon.
once. We were playing Exalted 3rd Edition, and we suplexed a river onto a town.
It's exalted. That's just like a Tuesday, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
average.
I mean, the town was one of the. I say town. It was one of the biggest cities in the setting, and it was the biggest river in the setting. But yeah, I think it was more the description of how we did it and everything that broke the GM. It's been a while since that happened. But yeah, that is basically
Still,
Tuesday in Exalted.
yeah, I've still got a picture saved of B in horror at what we were doing in a Curse of Strahd game. I think it was
Curse.
like
Poor
first or
Curse
second
of
game you
Strahd.
were ever run.
My second Curse of Strahd game that I'd ever run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apologies
My
for that.
players
They're
broke.
re-releasing that, aren't they?
My
More
players,
than likely, because they release it for every edition. So
Mm, yeah.
yeah. My
Right.
players broke me in Dark Heresy, but yeah, back to the game.
Back to the game. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry about that. Just had to go and check on.
You
oh, there we go.
left, to be
Yeah.
fair.
No, no.
This
Sorry.
is all your fault.
Finding out where teenage son was. Apologies. Right. So, you find a truck, and I'm assuming Casamir's driving. You can tell me. Oh, sorry, no, you wanted to go and talk to the nurses. Apologies. So you go across to talk
That's
to
okay.
talk to
Well,
nurses.
one of us wanted to go and talk to the nurses.
I'm dragging Sam along.
I'm
Uh,
getting the impression already that Nellie can be a force of nature when she wants to be.
yes.
As
It's
any
less of a
good
question, and it was a suggestion with a capital S. And she basically goes, "Come along, Sam," and drags him over to where the nurses are, and just basically wants to engage them in conversation.
Yep.
Probably almost if Sam's sort of like that nervous, um, I can't think of the word right now. But if he's not like engaging in the conversation so much, she's kind of almost use him as a prop. Sort of like, yes, my young my young doctor friend here, blah blah blah, and try and get some gossip from them about
Okay.
what's going on in certain areas without naming specifically the area that we're heading to.
So, okay, so shortcut this, please. Can you give me a insight persuasion roll with the charm specialization? So, focus. I must say the word focus.
So
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 insight.
persuasion, so charm persuasion, we're using insight. Right.
So 2 successes, right? So that gives you a point of momentum. Okay. So they are very friendly. They're very intrigued by you, but in a very positive way, because even though they're nurses, they're in a military situation. They're still wearing skirts and stuff like that, and so on,
Yeah.
and flat shoes and so on. And you're also carrying a rifle, which, I mean, none of them are armed at all.
Yeah.
And so you're intriguing to them. They're very friendly, very chatty. They're actually generally fairly annoyed that they're having to be flown out. You gather they were working at a hospital in Lille. That wasn't a casualty collection point. It was sort of for after people had been initially wounded and had been triaged, they were then transferred to somewhere else for long-term treatment before potentially being shipped back to the UK. And they were running that hospital and working that hospital. But the decision had been taken to close it, which they are frustrated about because they thought they were doing a very good job. But it also scares them because it indicates that we're losing. They don't have much information about the area you're going to. And they've never heard of the village, but the only thing I suppose you do get is that, I mean, that's somewhere where the front line is, and so that's where you're going. They think is potentially quite dangerous, but it's very clear they don't really know what they're not military experts. They're not sorry.
Yeah.
They're military
Yeah,
tactical
sure.
experts. And they also they're certainly not privy to the latest military intelligence.
No.
But
I was
think
thinking
that would be
more like.
news. Sorry.
No, go on, Chris.
I think that would be news to us that the front lines are in that area, because at this point, I think everyone was pretty surprised by the speed with which the Allied armies collapsed. So it'd be news to us when we turn up and we're told that the front line's close to where we're going. We better get cracking then.
I think I head back with that information. Or we do.
Sorry,
If
I
Was
dropped
there
none
anything
of it.
Sam wanted to do?
yeah.
Look pretty.
I've seen his picture.
I could have technically rolled a d20 to assist the roll if I'd.
Yeah, assist me.
Sorry, apologies. That you're quite correct. Do you want to roll that now, even though it's sort of after, just to you don't from memory
Given
you
it's going
can't.
to be a mighty 8, I think we may be not looking at. What was it? A charm roll? Did you say?
So yeah, charmed on
It'd
persuasion.
be charm, but you only use one dice when you're assisting, I
Yep.
think.
Yeah. I'm there. And
Oh, that's
then
kinda cool.
insight.
Yep.
Oh,
Hey.
So that
my,
would have
my,
given.
my innocence and general naive charm
Okay,
worked its magic.
so that would have given B an extra dice, I believe, with her
Extra,
roll.
extra success,
No, extra success.
It's
extra
straight an extra
momentum,
success.
extra points of momentum.
So
Extra
that does
momentum.
generate an extra point of momentum then. Okay, nicely done.
Right,
Hell
so that
yeah.
she can then use to.
Yeah. Sorry,
to
you
roll
could
on.
have used.
Yeah.
Okay. Those points of momentum. They don't have to go in the momentum pot. You can use them instantly for more information.
For instance, gather
Um,
information is one of the things you could do. You now have 2 points, so you could actually use that to find something specific.
So essentially,
So-
you can almost dictate
Okay.
to me and say, actually, someone there does know something. Essentially.
okay.
Or you can
So-
also place a truth onto the scene or a situation, which is such as well informed or something along those lines, or something like that, which can benefit us later.
I think I have a talent that. No, I don't have that one yet. But
That's on your plan of things to buy.
my
Yeah,
plan of
I've
things
got
to
a
buy.
lot with this.
So I quite like the idea of maybe the one of the nurses having heard a rumor from one of the patients. So not necessarily
Okay.
about being informed about things. So she sort of like, and again, it doesn't have to be about the specific area, but just something close by. It could give us a heads up about a threat we might face. If
Okay. Um,
Does that make sense?
yeah, it
Is
does.
that how you use that skill?
Yeah,
Am I playing the game right,
I
Andy?
think so. I think so. I'm still inexperienced
Yes.
at running it, but I think that's
Cool.
right.
That's the right idea. Yes, the
yeah.
gather information is one of the momentum spends.
Yeah. Perfect.
And-
I want to spend a momentum to do that then, if possible.
Right.
Yes.
So,
I'm making them think now.
that's right. You gather from her that the regiment that is the regiment that is guarding. Sorry, the regiment that sort of is organising that area and is sort of such the rear guard trying to organise that area
Gotcha.
is the 2nd Battalion of the Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire Regiment. They're nicknamed the Old Bucks.
Oh,
That seems to be. She mentioned some place names that where she was treating her last patient before they evacuated the hospital was a young man who'd been wounded, and he was from the Old Bucks, and he'd mentioned that he was in a village that on your map is a few miles from where you're aiming to go to.
few miles from location. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. And then in your truck, just for in case it becomes relevant. So Casamir is driving. There's space for 2 more in the front in the cab. Who's going in the cab? Who's going in the back?
Well, I'll obviously assume that I'm getting a place in the cab.
I'll probably get in the back.
I'll definitely get in the back.
I have to with the dog.
Okay. So just Casamir and Archie in the front. That's fine. Okay. Then right. There's then who is navigating to try and find the way? Because you've got a map.
I probably am. I've got the map, probably. This is probably may not go well. I might not be the right chap for the job here, but
What skill do you think that would be under? Observation?
tactics.
Observation or tactics? Your choice.
I would think it's tactics because honestly, that's the sort of thing that you learn
Okay.
when you're doing
Tactics.
OTC. And I don't know. I've got the focus of covert operations. Is that right? I can't honestly think what it might probably will be in under army or covert operations. It's up to you whether it's applicable.
I'll give it to you. I'll let you use your covert operations tactics.
Is it probably reason?
Yes.
Reason, and there's a point of momentum on the go, isn't there?
Yep.
But we're going to lose it as we leave this scene, so I'm going to use it. Okay.
Yep.
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 Yeah.
Do it.
Hey.
3 successes. Right.
Oh, holy shit.
With a very skilled bit of navigation.
Right.
And it is very skilled bit of navigation. That was a difficulty
Right.
2 task. I probably should have said that before.
Yeah. Okay. So that leaves us with 1 spare point.
Yeah. So I'm going to add that back in. Because we're not quite finished this scene. You navigate your way, and it does require some difficult navigation because people are clearly starting to knock down road signs, and so
Right.
it's becoming a bit confused. And as you you're navigating your way along, you also spot from this direction there, very obvious, there's a roadblock ahead. And you sort of pause in the road as a couple of British soldiers walk out into the middle of the road, and they wave at you and wave you forward.
When you say wave us forward, they mean wave us through or wave us come towards them?
Come towards them.
Okay.
And as you get up close to them, an officer comes out, and they're wearing the insignia of the 2nd Battalion, Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire Light Regiment, the Old Bucks. And a lieutenant comes round to the passenger door when he spots a fellow officer and says, Lieutenant Meredith, how can I help you?
Lieutenant Fanshawe. What's our official title again? Special Reconnaissance or something
Special
like that?
Reconnaissance Group.
Special Reconnaissance Group, we're
Never heard
authorised
of you.
to. Good. That's rather the point. We're carrying out a bit of reconnaissance. Would
You want to go through?
appreciate any assistance you can give. Absolutely.
Okay. This as such, well, the whole, I'll warn you, go through there. It's all a very confusing mess. There are bits that are being held by our troops, but in all honesty, some units are retreating. Well, the Germans have broken through in numerous areas. The blitzkrieg tactic is working very well, unfortunately, and they're advancing so rapidly that some of our of our units and some of the French units have been bypassed. Some are retreating so fast that they're actually managing to retreat faster than the Germans can catch up. So there's the whole front line has now become very fractured and very messed up.
Honestly, I can't understand how things have gotten this bad this quickly. Anyway, not our problem there. Our problem is that we need to carry out a specific reconnaissance task. It sounds like time is of the essence, so we better get cracking, old chap.
Just warning you that please I won't stop you, but sort of you're now into potential enemy territory.
Okay, thank you very much. With a
You
bit of
may
luck, you'll be
also
seeing us again
encounter-
very soon.
You may also encounter Allied forces as well, so please be careful for people getting quite jumpy.
Target discrimination, understood.
Okay. And he calls on his
Okay,
men.
very good.
He calls on his men, and he's got quite a decent position here. He's got a couple of Vickers machine guns set up. He's got nothing to stop tanks, but stop infantry. He's got quite a good setup. And they built quite a strong barricade across the road, so it does take him a couple of minutes to pull that aside to let you drive past. But they do, and then you drive off. That navigation.
While we're waiting, actually, I want to haul one of the others into the front. I think an extra pair of eyes, in the circumstances, might be.
Who do you want in the front?
Who wants to be in the front?
I'm pretty good. You
Yeah.
would know that Nellie's pretty good with observation.
Okay, Nellie, get in the front.
I climb over.
I also, frankly, being a naturally sexist man from the 1940s, probably think that you should be in the front anyway.
Yeah.
The presence of a woman carrying a rifle attracts a bit of attention from the soldiers, but they're confused as to why anyone would be going forward anyway. So
The whole thing's confusing.
Yep.
That's just not to think about
Right.
Yeah. Don't strain yourself, dear boy.
it.
Right. You carry on, and you start to see signs of war. It's not actual signs of fighting. It's more the occasional abandoned vehicle or bits of abandoned kit, sort of the occasional backpack that's been dumped on the side, or at one point you come across a car that appears to have crashed at some point into a field, and then you carry on. You start to see more signs of more signs of the fact that there is a war going on. For the first time, you actually spot a couple of civilians. Civilian sort of refugees, for want of a better word. They and that is surprising that there's not that many civilians around. But then maybe that's because everything is moving so fast that the civilians haven't got time to flee and become refugees. They're just being overrun so quickly. Can I have observation checks from the three of you in the front, please?
Is that using insight, reason, or will?
It is using insight, and it will be using the sight specialization, sight focus.
Oh God, I'm so good at that, and it was oh no, it's all gone horrible. I don't know if my talent gut feeling comes into this.
What's that do for you?
You've learned to trust your gut when something doesn't feel right and your instincts are rarely wrong. When the game master spends one or more threat to introduce
Not yet.
reinforcements or not yet.
When he
Is it
spends
not?
threat. Yeah.
Ah,
see, when
gotcha.
when
You'll see.
the GM threat counter in the bottom right starts going down.
Ah,
Now,
You usually call it, Andy.
yeah, right.
carry on. I thought it'd save us, maybe.
Okay, so as you're going forward, right. I would like a vehicles a driving check essentially from
Yeah.
Casamir. Now that will be on coordination and vehicles, but what do you think a truck counts as heavy vehicles or cars?
It says heavy trucks, so I assume so, since this is a military truck.
So heavy, so use the heavy vehicles.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So that focus, please.
You got
Essentially,
it.
what happens is as you're driving along, you suddenly realise that you've driven through because you failed to spot them between you because there was a sort of group check, and unfortunately, I'm going to cancel out Archie's success by the two complications. Oh, well, between you, there's a group.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, did you make that check, Nick?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, 3 successes, right. You are startled when you suddenly realise you've driven through a whole group of troops who are hidden in the bushes either side. There's no shooting or anything. It's more that it's suddenly shocking. You suddenly realise as you're passing them, and this is more actually probably observed by Sam and Nikola in the back of the truck as you've gone past them. They're actually British troops who appear to be in a quite a disorganized, disorderly fashion. A couple of them don't have rifles anymore. Some of them have got helmets. They appear to be in a quite disordered state. And then you carry on. Sorry, so that should it be relevant? That was a difficulty. That was just a difficulty 1. So you've actually got 3 points of momentum should it become relevant. You then, continuing on further, you then spot something else. This doesn't require dice rolls because it's obvious. You spot a group of French troops sat on. You go through a small village. Well, I say a small village. It's large enough to have a cafe, and several French troops appear to have just had enough and are sat outside the cafe drinking whatever alcohol they can get hold of. There's an officer berating them, trying to motivate his troops, but they appear to have lost a bit of a degree to fight as well. And it's very clear it's getting to quite a chaotic stage. Okay. But then, and because we're about to finish, that navigation roll was fantastic. And you actually come into what is marked on the map as Bernard's house. And without actually being listed by anything. And I think we'll leave it there. I'm just going to take 1 off the momentum because this is now going to start a new scene.
Yep.
And we shall leave it there and commence next time with arriving at Bernard's. Okay.
Nice.
Nice.
So thanks for anyone watching. There'll be another session. We'll record one hopefully in a couple of weeks' time.
Excellent. Yep.
Hopefully people enjoy watching that. I hope you guys enjoy playing it as well.
Alright.
I enjoyed it. And there will be another session in a couple of weeks' time. Thanks for the moment, though. Bye all.
Bye.
Bye.